Welcome back to the Prosperity with Purpose podcast. I'm Jessica Heffley, and we are having a blast in the Prosperity with Purpose mentorship where we are breaking down these things even further. And you get a coach. You get a coach to personally help you work through, ask the questions, help you have this breakthrough even deeper to the next level. We're going to give you lots to think about today, lots to chew on, lots to help you have that freedom. But in that mentorship is where you're at, jessicaheffley.com/grow to get signed up. We're starting with an exercise today. Okay. So get your pens out. Even if you're driving, you just have to write one number right now. What I want you to, we're going to unpack last week's episode, but first of all, I want you to write down what is your dream annual income in your business, like your dream income. Like you're not gonna have to tell me this. You don't have to tell anybody this. You may be scared or embarrassed or whatever, but what is your biggest possible thing that you can dream of as being your yearly income in your business? Write it down. Don't not write it down. Literally write it down. Pull over on the side of the road if you're driving. If you're in the middle of making dinner, get out that scratched piece of paper and pencil, write it on a napkin. I don't care, but physically write it down. And as you are doing that, I'm going to unpack last week's episode. Okay, so last week, if you're just jumping in, we're on a three to four part series. Not sure how long we're going to do it on money mindset. And last week, we really explored this concept of neutrality around money. We often have such heightened emotions about what we believe about it, about what we believe about ourselves, about what we believe about other people based on how the amount of income that they have or don't have, or what they want or don't want, or what they like or don't like. There's just a lot of judgment, which we're going to do a little bit of story work that really goes back to our background, because most people don't even know that they have a money mindset issue. Like I just put on my Instagram that I was going to be recording some podcast episodes, letting people kind of give me their opinion on their insight on what area they'd like me to talk about to help them have breakthrough. And I realized, like, me saying money mindset, just pinched my nose. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so me saying that, most people don't even realize they have a money issue. They feel so valid in their feelings or in their stance, or they've never engaged with their past story of why they believe the way they do or why they act the way they do. So they're just coasting through life and staying about the same. But we ain't about staying about the same on this episode. We're about breaking through, going to the next level of healing, wholeness, and wealth. So we're going to get really curious. Make sure you've written down that number. Haven't forgot about it. We're going to come back to in a minute. Your dream income. Okay, but so for me, what started so much of my study on abundance, working through my money mindset, finding growth around all of these things. So I can't say this enough, and I guess I could just keep saying it, but I want to help you have an experience with it. That really, thoughts are everything. The way that you think will generate more money or more scarcity in your life. Okay, I can tell you strategy all day long. I can tell you the exact things to do to grow your business, but every single person's dynamic is different. Their personality, their influence, their reach, their number of followers on social media, how they experience fear, growth, embarrassment, perfectionism, all of those things. And so that is why it's so important to go to the foundation, because the way you think will generate more money or more scarcity in your life. And you can 100% change your relationship with money, which means that you can change the amount of money in your life. Because next week, we're really going to talk about ownership. Okay. But right now, okay, to unpack some more of last week. So really the gist of last week, when I was talking about Louis Vuitton and how it's like not my thing, and I was like, oh, this makes you a little bit uncomfortable. The truth, I don't know if I ever hit the nail on the head, but the truth of the matter is my uncomfortableness was coming from my own judgments. And so I had to actually repent of that. Like, I was judging people who wanted to have Louis Vuittons, because I was thinking that my way is better. I was like higher or nobler or whatever, better, because things like that didn't matter to me. I didn't see the importance of such petty things. Like it literally was from a place of judgment, from a place of comparison. And so we've really, in anything in life, in leadership, we've really have to come to a place of humility of like, ugh. That's the truth of my story. I don't like it. I didn't even like to tell you guys. I think that's why I never flat out said it last week. But there's something about the repentance aspect, the humility aspect of there's something about the spirit of comparison that we can cast off. Because when we are comparing ourselves to other people, that means we are either thinking that we're better than them or we're thinking we're worse than them. And so either comparison is always leaving somebody in this hierarchy of better or worse, which gets away from the neutrality that we're trying to get back to around money, taking the emotions out of it and be able to look at it objectively and with curiosity. So anyways, some things that really helped me start to discover is when because again, most people do not know their money story, but what will help you uncover it is why you get to notice why you really want things you want in life when it comes to money. Like there's certain things in your life that you're like, I want that. I want that. Like I desperately want that. That is something that is important to me. I want that. Or you'll start to notice things in your life of that I want nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do with that person. I want nothing to do with this object. I want nothing to do with this. Okay, those are some ways that you can start to notice there's something in your story. That's always an invitation. I call those invitations to bring before the Lord, invitations for the Holy Spirit. When you are noticing such strong feelings or noticing you can't stop thinking about a certain thing, like, okay, what is this to unpack? So years ago, what started all this is I was in a life coaching session with my first life coach that I had hired because my life was kind of feeling stagnant and stuck, and I thought it was my company's fault. I thought it was my husband's fault. I thought it was my friend's fault. I thought it was everybody else. I was ready to change. And so much, it just broke free a lot of things. But anyways, one of the stories I was talking about with my life coach is I said something like, I don't want my kids to be spoiled. And he was like, huh, what do you mean? Tell me more about that. Help me understand what you mean when you said that. And I was like, yeah, we'll probably be able to afford to buy our children a car or pay for their college, which both were things that my parents could not afford, or they chose not to spend there's a whole, I don't like to say can't afford because there's a whole nother thing around that. But anyways, so he helped me discover, he was like, well, why would your children be spoiled if you had the means and you bought them a vehicle? And I was like, I just don't want them to be like spoiled. And he helped me see excuse me, the meaning I had attached to people who could, when I was a child, people who could buy themselves, who bought their children cars. I viewed them as spoiled. I made the judgment, the agreement as a young child that if any parent bought their child a car, that meant that they were spoiled little brats. And that was so interesting because here I was in a different dynamic as an adult, desperately wanting my children to not be spoiled little brats. And the only thing that I could equate to spoiled little brats is if their parents bought them a car, that meant they were spoiled little brats. And so I got to then choose if that's still the story I wanted to believe, I got to decide if that's how I want to move forward, or if I had choices, or if spoiled little brats could mean something else besides someone. And he was like, well, what makes someone not spoiled? And we got to the root of it, and it's just being really, really grateful. Like not a sense of entitlement, but a sense of gratitude. And so we got back to like, well, then when we know we want to do better with our kids or somebody else, or even with our business, this is so fascinating when I coach a lot of people, but they're like, okay, well, tell me exactly what to do to make my children grateful children. Like, tell me the exact steps of the actionable things that I have to do in order to fix this. When it was like, you just model it. You first get to experience more gratitude in your life, and you get to model that to your children, and then they're not spoiled little brats. It was just so interesting because it's in especially when you have small children, every area that you have breakthrough in, it's like literally breaking generational curses. It's giving you the agency and authority of your children to not to have to go through that experience. Like this is biblical, like down second and third generation. Like you can break off generational curses, even like in your health. Like, or people will say, alcoholism just runs in my family. And I'm like, no, what ran in your family was possibly depression or unable to process thoughts or something else on a much deeper level. And when you find freedom in that, that breaks them free from that curse. It's a really fascinating topic to study. But anyways, so what are some of the reasons I want you to unpack some of your story. What are some of the things that you're noticing that's coming up that's weird for you around money? So, another example, I've done a lot of money mindset work, but just last week on the episode, I realized that the Louis Vuitton thing was really bothering me. And so that I viewed as an invitation for something, bring to before the Lord, an invitation for something to explore within me. It wasn't somebody else's problem or somebody else making me feel this way. It was me. And I got to then explore my story, my judgments, my decisions, my agreements that I had made with that brand or those people who liked that brand or whatever. And so you get to do the same. You get to do that. Another couple ones of mine were I got to the root of about three of them. So I'd really highly encourage you to kind of get to the root of three of them. Here's the lies that I didn't even know I was believing. Wealthy people are spoiled and entitled. Number two, hard work with your hands builds character. And number three, wealthy people are taking money away from poor people. These are fascinating. And then these are just my story. And because I grew up lower middle class. And so when I started to work in network marketing and make a seven figure yearly income, like it was like I was betraying something like to my core, to my roots. It felt wrong. And I had to really, really, really unpack that. And that may be what's keeping you from getting to the next level in your income, because you feel like you are literally betraying your roots, betraying where you grew up, betraying who you came from, betraying your blood. And this is an opportunity for you to go to the next level, because you know what? As simply as I can put it, the poorest way to help the poor is to be poor. So the best way that you can help people who need help, or help the situation that you came from or the situation that you can currently in, is make more money, which is a huge part of this podcast, to help you create more peace in order to make more money. And what is holding you back from making more money is a story that you have told yourself about what you've made money mean, or about what people who have money mean. Like, it is something in the meaning, something in the thoughts, because you can 100% change your relationship with money, which in turn will change your amount of money. If you don't like the results you have with money, you've got to stop beating yourself up and get curious about what are your thoughts are that created what you currently have. The current amount of money that you have is a result of years and years of thinking, feeling, and acting around your money story. So we're going to go back to when you, at the beginning of this podcast, oh, wait. Let me explain these a little bit more. My three. So wealthy people are spoiled and entitled. So we kind of talked about that, the spoiled and entitledness, when that came when I was talking about buying a car for my children. Number two, hard work with your hands builds character. And so my dad, he was such a phenomenal man. He worked in a glass factory his entire life. He worked swing ship. They wore steel-toed boots, safety goggles. He worked hard. He could fix anything. He could build anything. And so I grew up associating like a good man, a good person, like worked hard with their hands. They sweated how to bring in the example before me. And my parents weren't doing this on purpose. This was just the example before me. How my father provided for our family was sweat and tears, was coming home and taking a shower because you worked hard, you were sweaty, you were dirty. And so when my profession was literally laying by my pool, working from my iPhone and making seven figures, like it was like again, that feeling almost of betrayal. Like, wait, no, like you have to work hard by the sweat of your brow in order, like that. I was thinking that was the only option to be a person of character. Like, because I also, that was my story. I've worked since I was 13. I paid for almost all of my college. I've always had a job. I worked. And I almost, again, that spirit of comparison, I had this like hierarchy about me because I had to work through college. My spoiled friends who their parents paid for everything didn't have to work, so I viewed myself as better than others because I worked hard. And so it was like this identity crisis when money was coming in easy, or money was coming in without the literal sweat of my brow. There's other areas that I had to work through and grow in. And but the beauty of it is, my dad cannot do something successful on a phone, and I cannot do something successful building or working with my hands. Like, those are in our zone of geniuses. There's nothing right or wrong about the way I make money or the way my dad make money. Those were that was what we knew and so you know what I'm saying? I'm taking the judgment away from it. And I got to explore I got to redefine what it meant to make money from my iPhone while sitting on my couch. Like, and that's freaking amazing. It doesn't mean I was doing something wrong or doesn't mean I don't have high character. I learned a different way to do it. There's no judgment around it. And the number 3 is wealthy people take money away from poor people. This was so fascinating. It's like I don't think this at all now, but I believed this to my core. I believed that me making more money was taking more, like somehow this weird distorted view of like, if I did really well in my business, that meant other people in my business couldn't do well, or I was taking money, or I should feel bad that they weren't making a lot of money and I was making a lot of money. Like, what? No, like there's different levels of me putting myself out there, me learning, me growing, me investing in coaching, me reading personal development books, me like there's lots of factors. It's not like a black and white thing. And I am not doing anything wrong. But again, that's such a trigger for me. Like, am I doing something wrong? That may not be your particular trigger. You get to explore and get curious about what your triggers are, but you have to understand so many of you don't even know that you have come in agreement with your old story. You feel like it is such a betrayal to make more money than your husband, or make more money than your dad, or make more money than this person, or like it feel so you get I am I want to say begging you, but I don't have that control over you, and I'm not it's all an individual choice, but I'm inviting you to explore where you can find freedom in this, because making more money changes the world for better. I believe with all this is why I do what I do, because more money needs to be in the hand of good people. And you're the good people listening to this podcast because you do good things with your money. We're going to talk about that way more in another episode. But anyways, okay, back to your dream income. So at the beginning of the episode, I had you write down what is your like stretch. Don't make this comfortable, y'all. Like, what is the biggest dream that you have in your current job, or not even have to be like just your yearly income? Like, oh, that would be such a dream. That would be so. Oh, I don't know if I could do it, but that's like my dream. Okay, so you've written that number down, correct? Right. Great. Now get your pen back out. I'm just gonna have you do one more thing is I want you to look at that number and I want you to scratch it out and double it and write the double E number next to it. Yes. I want you to take that number that was so scary and so big and so may have appeared to be so out of reach. And I want you to scratch it out and I want you to double it. Woo! What's coming up for you right now? Your first goal was already a stretch. And now double it? Yes, double it. You will not make more money than what you believe is possible for you. It's time to start allowing the expansiveness of possibility. Sorry, I'm like in my closet and the sun is shining in my eyes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's like blaring at me. I can barely see my notes, but that's okay because we're just going by the seat of our pants. I think the Holy Spirit works that way. Okay, so you're being open to the possibility of more income is a great first step. So many of us are closed-minded. This is the amount of money that we have made for the last 5 years, and it's going down a little bit each year, or I get a 1% raise each year, and that's what I'm going to do until I die. Take those blinders off. Look at that number for a moment, that doubly number. You get to then how does that make you feel inside? We're going to have the gamut. Like, I wish I could like have a one-on-one conversation with you right now. Like for some of you, you're like, heck yeah, let's go, game on. This is fun. This is exciting. Some of you are like, oh my word, Jessica is crazy. That number is impossible. Okay, so let's take away the judgment on whatever your reaction is to doubling that number and just look at it. Just with a mustard seed of possibility, look at that number. This saying, your body won't go where your mind has never been. It's a great. Okay, so I have my concealed carry license, so I can carry a firearm. But in the class, it's a really great. In order to do that in the state of Arkansas, anyways, you have to go through this class where it's very much about situational awareness, learning about the gun, getting very familiar with it. You have to practice. You have to unload it, load it. You have to they test you. You have a written test, and you have to go out to the range and actually use your firearm. Like that's a great program. I think it's very smart, very wise. One of the things they teach you in situational awareness is you have to think about a situation before it happens. So they have you go through scenarios that involve a gun. So you are thinking about them before they would ever actually happen to you in your real life. So smart. And I apply this so much to when I teach people about money mindset because your body won't go where your mind has never been. So this double number is opening you up to a place that your body has never been before, but you are going to start thinking about it. You are going to start believing it. You are going to start being open to the possibility of it. Okay. You also get to be honest. So much about growth of what I teach is about being honest. So if you're not like gung ho, yay, let's go, if you're having a little bit of a freak out moment or some fear or some doubt or even some embarrassment or some like feelings of, well, that number, yeah, well, that sounds great, but how the heck am I ever going to do that? Or I'm going to have to hire some people to get to that number, and that feels horrible right now. Like, whatever it is, I am never encouraging you to doubt your reality, but I'm encouraging you to be honest with it, journal about it, write it down, um, put all those fears out on the paper. But I'm also asking you to cling to an ounce of hope, to cling to the openness of possibility, because there literally is no ceiling on the amount of money you can make. And you may be in a 9 to 5 job right now and you may be thinking, no, because there is always possibilities on the side, additional things. I believe in supernatural um, relationships, connections, downloads, ideas, things that come when you are partnering with hope and faith and possibility instead of when you're hoping with doubt, fear, scarcity, death. Because dead things don't grow, right? Dead things shrivel, dead things get smaller, dead things don't get bigger. And so I want to partner with life and life more abundantly and life that is growing, life that is expansive, life against all. One of my favorite Bible verses from Romans 4, it talks about Abraham and it says, against all hope, Abraham in hope believed, and the promise was given to him. So do you guys have scriptures that you like cling to? Like it is the living word of God to you. And that is one of mine. Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed. That is so, I could do a whole episode on that, like unpacking when everybody else says no, when the world says another way, when it doesn't in the natural make sense. Abraham, against all hope, Abraham in hope believed. Maybe you don't have a cheering inner circle. Maybe you currently don't have a lot of people that believe in you, your business, your ideas, your possibilities, and your potential in this world. But against all hope, Sarah, Amanda, Melissa, whatever your name is, against all hope, Jessica believed. Against all hope, Jessica in hope believed. That is powerful. So, your assignment this week is to look at that doubly number. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Think about it. Be prayerful to it. You could do so. Have fun with it. Like, okay, let's just be. It may seem impossible, or it may seem hard, or it may seem whatever right now, but let's go ahead and plan it out. Your body won't go where your mind has already been. So here's a fun thing. I don't know what number you wrote down. Go ahead and make a plan of what you will do with that money once you make that much. Make a plan. How much are you going to give out of that? What percentage are you going to give? Where are you going to pay down debt? Where are you going to invest in more streams of income? Where are you going to buy a lake house? Where are you going to do something fun for your children? Where are you going to? How much are you going to spend on help making that dream happen? Make a plan. Your body won't go where your mind has been. Why not? Let yourself dream. Let yourself go there. Let yourself be open to the possibility. Cling to hope. So last week, we really built on this concept of neutrality around money, lowering the emotions around money. This week, we got really curious about maybe what of our stories or our agreements, our hangups, what we have about money, about amounts of money, all of those things, whatever your story is. But then also clinging to the hope and the possibility of an income that is so much larger than it is right now. Okay? Okay? So you'll have fun clinging to hope. Come back next week, and we're really going to talk about ownership around money, because I want to empower you, that the ability to change your amount of money, the ability to change your life, like empower you with the ownership that you actually have around that. So many people feel like that's out of their control. There is specific ownership things and thoughts that you can have around that will change your results with money. I'm so proud for y'all for being here. Like this is big. This is a big deal to help you create more peace in order to make more money. We'll see you next week.